tea time. Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Now then, for today's tea, I have with me, and the boxes are put down, I have with me, where is it on the box? Because the packages say nothing for the Christmas sets. Rubios Herbal Infusion Tea. Despite how I'm pretty sure I've heard the word Rubios tea before, I've never actually had it before. So this will be my first time. A honey sweet herbal Rubios is smooth, malty, and naturally caffeine free. And let's open it up, see if there's a little bit of extra information. There tends to be a little bit. Spotted a Satsuma in your stocking. Citrus tastes so divine with our honey-toned Rubios. It's funny because I smelled the tea. It doesn't smell citrusy. In fact, it doesn't smell very nice at all, actually. So I'll be quite happy if it does taste like orange. Then again, I did get these teas at Christmas time, and it's been quite a while since then. And teas can go out of date. There was one tea I really liked. I can't remember which one it was from my head. But one of the boxes of it just tasted. Oh, I think it was two different types of Russian Caravan. I had a Russian Caravan from Whittards. Love the tea. Was it Russian Caravan? I'm not sure. But basically, there was a tea that I really liked, and I tried a box of it that I hadn't used in a while. Like, oh gosh, yeah, that definitely went out of date in some way. In any case, today's tea time is a little bit awkward for me because the light bulb blew up, and I can't find the plug for my Tetris lights that I used to play through Project Zero Maiden of Black Water in a more horrific atmosphere. Yes, with Tetris lights. So instead I've got this red lamp which constantly overheats and feels like it's going to explode because for some reason it just heats. The whole room starts to get blazing hot. In fact, I'm not sure why I'm wearing this jacket because it's my fluffy jacket. My fluffy brown jacket I wear in my cat shirt. There we go. And it's even worse in this case because today's tea time requires me to have some information with me on a bit of paper to make this a lot easier. Because today's tea time is the long-awaited return of Kickoff. For those of you who don't know, which will be most people, given I don't think many people at all really watch these videos, at least consistently, Kickoff is basically a tea time which I dedicated to a Kickstarter game. This isn't out of a feeling that my the Kickoff will actually help the Kickstarter to a tremendous degree. After all, this channel doesn't have much in the way of views. That said, I do want to help out the games that I put in these kickoffs for selfish reasons. I want these games to be funded because I want to play them. So when I do a kickoff, it's for a game that I'm genuinely interested in. And for today's kickoff, it's one I think I've seen previously, being talked about on siliconera.com. And I was thinking, it was like a while ago, I think almost earlier on in the year. I'm imagining they were sort of like in the midst of sorting things out for a Kickstarter, or we're trying to look for alternative funding prior to that. In any case, the game, I recognised it when I saw it on Kickstarter as a game. I remember this popping up at siliconera.com. I'm really interested in this. And I saw what systems released on it. I thought, oh hey, I should do a kickoff for this. I should kickstart this myself, or help back this myself. So today's kickoff is about Destiny Chronicles by Visual Noveler, I think. I couldn't get a quite accurate thing that said who it was done by, but the Kickstarter page is organised by a group or person named Visual Noveler, so that's what I'm going to count it as. Destiny Chronicles by Visual Noveler. And so let's start off the kickoff with a short version, just a short little thing, a character-driven action JRPG, even though it's made in Taiwan, and is being funded by Singapore dollars. I'm not sure what it is at the moment. Technically it should be like ARPG is like Asian RPG, I guess, but heck of it, JRPGs are what it's inspired by, is what everyone will recognise it as, so let's just keep it as JRPG. From the top, a character-driven action JRPG set in a world where mysterious ruins are all that remain of its elusive past. Like most JRPGs see, so we might as well call it a JRPG. It's releasing for, if provided it gets funded, so really hopefully, Steam, PS4, and the big one that appealed to me, the Nintendo Switch. That's generally usually what I look for when I look for Kickstarters. I primarily look if they're backed on a Nintendo system. I used to go about focusing it on Wii U. Now, of course, the Wii U, there's never going to be many people putting a Kickstarter game on it. So, Nintendo Switch is what I have to look out for. Occasionally I'll also concede to Xbox One games such as Caveman Warriors. Just on the two systems that I actually play. I don't play PC and PS4, or PS4 I will play occasionally, but not exactly much. So, I wanted the systems that I own and want to actually play. But that's just a short version, a sort of short summary of Destiny Chronicles, and mostly it's just taken from what they have as their short summary on the website. Which, by the way, I will link in the summary below the Kickstarter page if you want to check it out. I haven't actually funded it myself yet. I've been meaning to get around to it. I've got 19 days to go at this point. By the time I upload this, it'll probably be less days, obviously. But I'm going to be funding it soon myself. Just need to get myself organised. I'm juggling a lot of things here. In any case, let's move on to the longer version of Destiny Chronicles with my various notes I've made based off reading the Kickstarter page and watching the trailer. Just to try and promote this game a bit, but not spoiling everything with it. You can check out the Kickstarter page yourself. Get interested in some of the things that they detail. Now, the Destiny Chronicles is a 3D action RPG with anime-styled visuals set in a fantasy world, and that's the sort of key thing. Despite being a Kickstarter game, you don't usually get sort of like big 3D action games with a Kickstarter. They're usually like the 2D and particularly the pixel-styled ones. So it's interesting to see a 3D action game, and particularly a good-looking one. Like, in particular, the character models look really good. The enemy models a bit rougher, but character models in this, as well as the hand-drawing segment, on point, absolutely stunning. It's got fast, fluid, real-time combat as Celeste, a knight in training, and it's filled with lots of cute girls because all the main characters I've seen so far, admittedly only 4, have been adorable girls. There hasn't actually been any male characters shown off, and some of the monsters I've seen are male, but again, they've only shown off 4 of the main characters, so hey ho. And as I said, brilliant hand drawing, so they look adorable. Big open areas to explore, traverse, and dodge roll out of the way of giant enemy attacks, as well as swarms of enemies. There's a surprising amount of enemies and environmental details popping on screen, again for a Kickstarter game. And although there were only small snippets in the trailer, it didn't appear to lag, which is a key point. Like, a lot of the sort of, again, it's really impressive when a 3D game comes out of a Kickstarter game, and even more so when it runs smoothly. And from the looks of it, it does run pretty smoothly. I can't say a frame per second sort of thing, but it looks at least 30 frames per second. Maybe it's 60, I wouldn't know. I'm not a frame sort of person. But the point is, if it looks smooth and if it plays smooth, and I can't judge play smooth yet, but it looks smooth. And that's, lovely hand-drawn story dialogue scenes and artwork. That's where the sort of hand-drawn stuff. Anyone who's familiar with, say, Hyperdimension Neptunia or a lot of those sort of JRPGs, there'll be lots of, whenever they get into heavy dialogue scenes, they'll switch over to sort of hand-drawn artwork with really good expressions and such, and sort of just get a bit more detail in it than you'd usually get with the 3D things. BlazBlue would probably be a more popular game to showcase this as well. And yeah, it looks really good. Really, really, really good. Art style, again, as I've said, is on point. And even the 3D art looks pretty darn good in gameplay. The plot, and there's a lot of extra story here. There's a ton of story and lore just on the Kickstarter page, like whole giant paragraphs of it. But for now, I'm just going to give the basic plot, which is Celeste is a knight in training, out to prove herself by pursuing a thief across the continent, due to said thief ruining her entrance exam to be a knight and tarnishing her reputation. So, she's going off to pursue this knight across the continent, exploring all the worlds, meets up with 2 companions who also have their reasons for helping her out and pursuing the thief. And the thief's actions stem from a very sinister plot, the same actions which have ruined Celeste's reputation in her attempt to become an in-training knight. So, interesting thing. The thing is, despite the sort of big plot, from what they've said on the website, it's primarily focusing on character interactions. A light-hearted and humorous game with all these sort of interactions between the main 3 characters and other characters and NPCs throughout the journey. But of course, all of this is within a compelling sort of overarching storyline as they're hunting down a thief. All big sinister plot that's going on from it. Think of it, how, and it's something that a feature they do have in the game is the skits feature from, say, the Tales of series, where you have optional dialogue scenes. Bravely Second is another one who does this. Optional dialogue scenes during your adventure where you just get to see your characters banter for a bit and share thoughts on something in the environment, or even sort of end up having commentary on the gameplay mechanics in a fun sort of way. I really like this because I think primarily as a writer myself, or someone who considers himself a writer, even though he's not got a book made or anything, I think character interactions are the biggest sort of detail to get right in a story. I feel that's where you get the most sort of interesting points coming from. You get to explore more of the world through characters interacting, and more of the humour and more of the story through characters interacting, rather than even the narration or overall setting and such. It's the characters interacting that flesh out the world, because it's through their eyes that you see the world and such. And so a big sort of focus on character interactions within this compelling story is a big plus for me. And again, it's part of the reason that I was drawn to this Kickstarter. Gameplay, as I said before, it's fast-paced action. Celeste has plenty of customization through enhancements and enchantments to boost her weapons and techniques and skills, and of course an expansive talent tree with 3 primary paths. Typical fashion. I will admit a lot of this is typical affair. It's heavily inspired by JRPGs, and it's mixing a lot of elements from all different JRPGs. The main point is it doesn't seem to be solely inspired by a singular JRPG. It's not trying to be the spiritual successor of anything from the looks of it, unless it's some obscure game known to Taiwanese. I don't know how to... Honestly, that kind of sounds offensive saying Taiwanese. Hope it isn't. Unless it's based off some spiritual successor, some obscure game that I don't know of. In any case, it looks like it's mainly just borrowing elements from little games and forging its own identity through these different elements from well-known JRPGs. And so it's got an expansive talent tree where you, of course, got the sort of general ones boosting health and defensive things, and like standard abilities, and a melee-based one and a spell-based one. And of course, what you focus on changes up how your character plays. The main character is Celeste, but you're also joined with 2 companions. Valhalla, who appears to be an archer mercenary type character, and Ruby, a mage / healer. They all fight alongside you, with Celeste being the main character who you play at all times, whereas the Valhalla and Ruby serve as the AI companions. Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of this style of things, where you don't get to control the characters or even get the option to switch between them. I prefer being, that's why I prefer turn-based RPGs where I get to control all characters. But think of it akin to Kingdom Hearts. You, unfortunately, have to be stuck with Sora and play, and Donald and Goofy play alongside you. But that's still a really fun gameplay, so it does work. It's just sometimes, a lot of times I do prefer the idea of wanting to play as the character, but that's not an easy thing to do in an action RPG. You can't exactly control all 3 characters at once. It'd be cool if there was a co-op feature, but that's a big undertaking for a 3D action game for a Kickstarter. In any case, it's really cool that you got your sort of other characters, and they'll always be out with you. They'll be fighting alongside you. Build up the merriment, and of course, again, further it through this dialogue skits. Again, anyone familiar with the Tales series will be very familiar with these sort of dialogue skits, or a more recent example would be the Bravely Default, Bravely Second series, which also has these sort of skits. A lot of RPGs do, but those are the main examples I can think of. As I said, large paragraphs are devoted to the story and lore, and there's a huge chunk of it, and I didn't want to write it all down on a single bit of A4 paper. And, of course, I guess that's just the general overall basis of this sort of game, the general idea. Read more of it on the Kickstarter page, I do recommend that. So I'm just going to mention some backing plus rewards here. As I mentioned, the funding is in Singapore dollars. Now, when you look at some of the sort of tiers, they actually look like they'll be pretty high. But, for instance, I translated a 77 quid Singapore dollar tier, and it basically became 40 quid after, doing the price conversion. So, despite how it looks like some of the tiers are astronomically high, they aren't as high as you'd think. That said, a 7,000 Singapore dollar tier still ranks at about 4,000 quid. Yes, it goes up that high. There's a lot of cheap tiers, underneath the £100 range, or $100 range even. But then there's a lot of skyrocketing tiers. There's a broad range of tiers here. You got plenty of cheap tiers, ranging from the game is really easy to get the digital copy of the game for either of the free systems that are releasing one. Not a stretch goal, by the way. It's all free systems from the get-go. Beta access, digital rewards and all that. And if you're lucky, there's a physical PC copy you can get for, I think, only the 80 Singapore tier, which is really handy for those people, but sadly not for the PS4 and Switch versions. I'm not sure why you ever bother with a physical PC copy, frankly, given that, you download the games on a physical PC copy, don't you, anyway? Anyway. And one of the earlier rewards, I think this one is translates roughly to 130 quid. You get a t-shirt of it, which is pretty cool. Then you get your more expensive tiers, including something called a shishki, which is apparently a drawing or something. But of course you get the sort of like really cool tiers where you get to include your own item, quest or NPC in the game. Normally this is the sort of tier I aim for. I look for Kickstarters where I can do that sort of thing for about 100 quid, so I can, you know, utilise it to help promote Grin Brothers a bit, you know, add in Nank to the game, or if it's an enemy, I'll try to see about adding the Rafahat thing, which I think Rafahat is what Rafi calls it. I'm not sure, he's never been very specific on it. It's either Rafaham or Rafahat, or he just doesn't bother giving it a name and he calls it just Hat. In any case, they're astronomically high for here. You know, I don't have a spare 4,000 quid available, or 2,000 quid for some of the lower ones. But they're still there as an option. Again, there's a lot of cheap options, but for the character, you know, the personal stuff adding to the game, that's going to be a little bit more pricey. But given it's a 3D game rather than the sort of 2D pixel games where that's probably a lot easier to do, given it's a 3D game, the 3D modeling, you know, it doesn't look like it's cheap 3D modeling. The 3D models do look good. Again, the enemies look a bit rough, but character 3D models and character 2D artwork are so detailed. It's fantastic. So again, I can understand why they wouldn't be, you know, a lot of those tiers to design stuff yourself and get involved. And particularly, you know, there being a language barrier, they are in Taiwan. I can understand why they're so expensive, but it's still an option for you rich sods out there. Oh, and that is Destiny Chronicles by Visual Noveler. Again, please do check out the Kickstarter if you're interested. I will be funding it shortly. I'll try to make sure to upload this tea time within at least 7 days to go. More than that, hopefully. After all, I've got 19 days to go at this point. In any case, after all that fast-paced talking, I'm going to try out a Rubios tea. Yeah, this does not smell citrusy at all. It smells kind of revolting, but here we go. Well, the initial taste was pretty good. But I'd say the aftertaste, then a bit of an aftertaste came in. It wasn't too good. But then, as you heard, I started sipping again quite quickly. And it was a really good taste. And then the horrid aftertaste was... Yeah, really nice entry-level taste for this Rubios tea. But, oh, gosh, I don't like the aftertaste. It's not terrible. Like, it's not really bad aftertaste. Like, I've had worse. Again, I despise mints. Those are a far worse aftertaste, but... It's not exactly a great taste I'd want left in my mouth, but the initial taste you have from this Rubios tea is actually really nice. It's just something in it then just gives you a real, just slightly strange kick at the end. I guess maybe it's the way the taste settles in my mouth. It's kind of going to like the middle of the tongue, slowly sliding back to the back of my throat. It's like that's just a very uncomfortable taste to have, the way the taste is traversing. But yeah, that was Rubios tea. That's a very weird thing to have, honestly. I only had this one brew for 3 minutes, so maybe it tastes differently with a longer brew time. I don't think I'm going to record this in my tea book just yet. I'm so tired. I've got so much to do. So I will probably have that again, so I can do that little drawing down on my tea book. So, that was Rubios tea. And I didn't actually leave anything in. Usually I leave like a little bit at the end to sum up... give it a little bit extra at the end of the tea time. But I don't have anything at the end of this tea time. All I can say is, thank you for listening to another kickoff. My kickoffs, even though I'm pretty sure they barely had any views, my kickoffs seem to have had this magical effect where every game I've done in a kickoff has succeeded at their Kickstarter. So I'm hoping this magic continues. In fact, even Fable Fortune, which failed its Kickstarter, still succeeded because it then got funded by a different company and it's now got a brilliant beta on the Xbox One. So see, that's the magic of my kickoff. Let's hope this happens with Destiny Chronicles because I really want to play this game on my Switch. Thank you for listening, and cheerio!